This episode of Beyond the Backyard is brought to you by Ultimate Archery and Outdoors, Ultimate Deer Products, Edutrax Incorporated, Red Light Flue Pot Seed Company, Tacticam, and by Jay's Sporting Goods. Welcome back to Beyond the Backyard, your source for everything hunting, fishing, and the great outdoors here in the great state of Michigan. I'm your host, Steve Kredovic, and today we're going to talk about a big one. The Michigan DNR has just announced major changes for the deer hunting rules for the 2025 season, and we're breaking it all down for you here. Whether you're hunting private or public land, bow or firearm, a seasoned vet, or new to the woods, this episode is for you. So grab a coffee, crack open a cold one, or get settled into your tree stand, and let's get into it. So on July 10th, 2025, the Michigan Department of Natural Resources made a statewide announcement, and it's got the hunting community buzzing. Now, starting October 1st, which will officially go into effect, hunters will have expanded access to both public and private land during the early and late antlerless firearm seasons in the Lower Peninsula. Now, the key details are here. Now, this applies to all antlerless firearm seasons. It's public and private are now included. Before, it was just your private land. Now you can do the antlerless, early antlerless firearm and the late antlerless season can be done on both private and public land. So that opens it up for a ton more people to be able to get out there in the woods during those special seasons. Now, this officially goes into effect August 1st. And like I said, this applies to Lower Peninsula only for this update. Now, they did it last year, but they're continuing to get and do it this year. This is a new change. They have a huge influx of deer, and they feel like this is the best way to go after it and get the numbers down. Now, this builds on rule changes, like I said, that were made last year. And according to Chad Stewart, the Wildlife Interactions Unit Supervisor of the DNR, it's a continuation of their strategy to manage the deer population and react to changes in hunter participation. Now, a quote, he said, "If hunter numbers are dropping, our management approach has to change too," which I understand 100%. If you got less people in the woods, the deer population is going up. This is how they're trying to fight that battle, is by opening up more spots, more people to get out in the woods and hopefully hunt, and maybe encourage more people to get out there and start hunting that maybe haven't hunted in a couple years. Now, let's talk about the big picture here. 20 years ago, Michigan had over 800,000 deer hunters, and today that number's dropped to around 550,000. So what's causing the drop? Obviously, in our last episode, we talked about where did the hunters go. So we got aging hunter population. Our people that were brought into it during that peak period of hunting, they're getting older, and either they've stopped hunting, they're getting too old to hunt. We got younger generations that are not getting involved. We have our land access concerns we talked about before, where land's going away because of property being sold off, development's been built where there used to be farmland, so we're losing access to property, and then just a change in lifestyles. People are so busy these days. We're always on the go. There's travel ball, there's school sports, there's just, it seems like you're never at home anymore. And thus, I think there's less people getting brought into the world of hunting. So, in the past episode we talked about the ripple effect of this decline, and from conservation funding to overpopulation of deer in certain regions. But John Schultz at Grand Valley Sporting Goods, he said, I quote, "We're seeing mixed reactions, honestly. Some folks don't like change. Others see this as necessary." He goes, "At our store, we've seen a dip in customers. Folks are still buying tags, ammo, and new gear, but education is key. We're making sure people understand the new rules and stay safe out there." So we just have to look at, people, like I said, we talked about it in numerous episodes about the constant changes. And the guy at the DNR there, Chad Stewart, is talking about them, the DNR, trying to keep up with these constant changes in the state of Michigan. As far as the hunters dropping, the deer numbers going up, they're trying to level it out. And maybe that's the case. They're trying to constantly fight that battle of lower numbers of hunters and deer numbers are going up. And that's maybe why we're constantly seeing changes in our state. But my thing is, why don't you see these in other states? I don't see, and like I said, I haven't hunted in Iowa or Kansas. You just don't hear about it, though. You don't hear this constant. And if you are hunting in those states, by the way, let me know in the comments if you have the same problem going on in your state, if in the Midwest. Is your Department of Natural Resources in your state constantly changing regulations from year to year. They're constantly mixing stuff up. They're always trying new things because that's what happens in Michigan. It's a constant change. And I just think it's them trying to always figure out how to battle the problem of the decline of hunters, how to try to get more hunters involved, and at the same time trying to battle the second problem of being too many deer in the state of Michigan. But before we get into more of this, I want to talk about a sponsor here. Now, this episode of Beyond the Backyard is brought to you by Ultimate Archery and Outdoors, located right in West Branch, Michigan. Whether you're a seasoned bow hunter or just gearing up for your first season, Ultimate Archery has what you need. From compound to crossbows to trail cameras, tree stands, scent control, and more, they're your one-stop shop for archery gear, hunting supplies, and expert advice. Stop in and get dialed in. Make sure you're ready for the 2025 season. Tell them that Beyond the Backyard sent you. Ultimate Archery and Outdoors, your bear bait and bow hunting headquarters in northern Michigan. Now, let's look at why these rules matter. First, we're going to look at the DNR's goals here. Their first goal here with the whole change of letting you hunt on public and private land during the early and late antlerless seasons is, number one, to control herd numbers in high-density counties. Number two, make it easier for hunters to help manage populations. And for three, to react to long-term trends in hunter numbers. So they are opening these up. Like I said, before it was just private land, and now it's public land that you can hunt does on during those two seasons. So you have a lot more people that don't have their own land. There's actually quite a few people that hunt state land because of the limited access to private land. So now you're giving them a chance to get out there and shoot does too during the early and late season. So some areas in the Lower Peninsula have a true deer problem. We got crop damage, vehicle collisions, overgrazed habitat, and more access equals harvest opportunity. So to me, this whole new rule change, as far as them continuing on what they already did last year with letting you on that public land for the early and late doe hunt, the pros, more flexibility for hunters, better herd management, encourages participation. But with the cons, we got potential crowding on public land, confusion over zone boundaries, and some resistance to more antlerless harvest. So you have two different sides. And like I said, in every good conversation, you're going to have two different ideas, and it's okay to have a different idea of everything. You have the guys out there that think people should shoot more does. You have the hunters out there that believe that you shouldn't shoot a doe, that that's your future buck that you're taking away by taking away the does. You're going to have two sides to everything. I mean, that's just, we understand that in the hunting community, there's probably the most opinionated people when it comes to just how things should be done. Whether, like I said, shooting does, not shooting does. And we asked our Facebook group and local followers, what do you think of the new 2025 rules? And a lot of people are saying they're glad to see more access. It's about time the state trusted us with this. Someone else said, still confused on which counties are included, wish the DNR map was clear. Another follower said, I only shoot bucks, so this doesn't change much for me, but it might help my kids get more involved. And the last quote, we had a follower say, it's clear that hunting community is split, but mostly leaning towards cautious optimism. So let's talk strategy now. With expanded access for antler seasons, what should you be doing? Let me give you some tips. I got 5 tips here to hopefully help you go about this in the right way. So first of all, scout private land opportunities now. Connect with landowners early. If you plan on going during this early doe hunt, talk to your farmers, talk to your people that are having maybe deer problems, that have those tags that you want, they want for you to take off those does off their property. Number 2 is understand new boundaries. Check the DNR maps after August 1st. Because here's the thing. Ignorance is an excuse to not do what's right. You're not going to get away from a ticket from the DNR because you didn't know a rule or you didn't know where you're supposed to be. They're not going to let that slide. Make sure you know the rules. When they come up to you, if you're doing something wrong, like I said, ignorance is an excuse to get out of a ticket. So make sure you know what's going on as far as the new regulations in the state of Michigan. Use doe tags smartly. Help manage populations where it matters. If you don't have a lot of does in your area, you probably shouldn't be shooting a ton of does. If you got an abundance of does, your neighbors got does, offer to maybe go over there and take some of his does. Don't just shoot a doe because you can shoot a doe. Try to go about it smartly to better the health herd in your local area. Number 4 is bring others in. Youth or new hunters can benefit from antlerless hunts. It's a good time to get out there and get that practice in before the season. Someone that's never shot a deer before, this is a great time to get them in the woods, get that first deer underneath their belt before the season gets going. And then when that buck comes in, they're a little less nervous, a little more prepared, and kind of can know what to expect when it all comes together. And number 5 is be a steward. Respect land, other hunters, and the rules. We're out there. We're all here together, guys. In the great state of Michigan, we have some great hunting. And I know people out there would like to see bigger bucks and monster bucks and have us be the next Iowa or Kansas. But the biggest thing is just be a steward. And let's all work together. We all have different opinions, so many different opinions on everything out there. I know we have guys that we have bow hunters and crossbow hunters and firearm people, and we sometimes seem to collide with each other. But we're here on the same team as far as deer hunters in the state of Michigan. So let's try to work together when we can. But my final thoughts are this, guys. The hunting world is always changing, but if we're adaptable, educated, and respectful, we can shape the future of deer hunting in Michigan. I want to give a big thanks to our listeners. And if you like today's episode, share it with your buddies. Drop us a comment here. Hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell. And let us know what you think about our podcast, not only as a whole, but at this episode. We really appreciate it. Like I said, we're just here to give our opinion. We're not experts. We all have different opinions, and that's fine. I 100% agree in a world where we can all give our opinions. So this is Beyond the Backyard. I'm Steve Kretovic, and reminding you, keep your boots muddy, your arrows sharp, and your ethics even sharper. Catch you next week.